Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. I have Sam here and I have Fritz here and we are ready to do some yoga. So I hope you guys are too. If you would like to use any props, you can. Some that I recommend are blankets, bolsters, maybe blocks if you have them. If you don't have them, that is okay, or if you don't have any props, you don't necessarily need them. I'll walk you through different options that you have. Now, if you are watching live, I apologize. I won't be able to see any of your comments because I'm clear back here and you are clear over there. But this replay will be live on YouTube by tonight. So if you want to come back to it, you can always click the link in my bio to find my channel there, or it will also be available on my Patreon account as well for free. So you can go back and watch it later. And then if you have any questions or thoughts, you can always put them in the comments there. All right, so I'm gonna try and get these two off my mat. And we are gonna start today laying down. So we're gonna just start really nice and slowly. So go ahead and come to your back. We are gonna keep our feet flat on the floor, but bring your feet as wide as the mat. And then we're gonna let our knees fall together in the center, just resting on each other. And then you can keep your hands down at your side, or you can place them on your body somewhere. If it feels safe, you can close down the eyes, or you can just soften your gaze. And we're going to take a moment here just to get into just a different headspace from where we're coming from. Maybe we were very anxious getting here and trying to get everything all together. Maybe it's been a busy day. We're going to drop all of that. We can come back to it after practice. For now, we're taking this time for us, just to be with ourselves on the mat. We can pick up that to-do list later on. Take some nice, big, deep breaths. Let's take one more big inhale together. Exhale, let it go. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly blink them open. We'll walk our feet back, hip distance. And then let's go ahead and give ourselves a nice hug. So go ahead and bring your knees in towards your chest. And you can either just hold on to the front of your shins, maybe the back of your thighs, or maybe you want to give yourself a nice big hug. If it feels good, you can roll around on your mat a little bit, get a little lower back massage, or maybe you just want to stay in stillness. So you can play with it, keep breathing. And when you're ready, we're going to roll up into a seat. So you can either come with me, we're going to have a little fun, a little playtime, or you can come up to a seat any way that is comfortable for you. But for me, what I like to do is something called rolling like a ball. So you're going to just roll up and down the length of your spine, just back and forth. Now, it may take a little bit to get up on that first roll. You might have to engage your core and really roll up. Maybe use your legs as a little bit of momentum to roll up. But you can play with it. So go ahead and do that if you're not already. Or again, if this is not for you, you can always just come up to a seat however you'd like. All right, I'm gonna do one more. And then I'm gonna sit back, come to my seat here. All right, so now we're in our nice comfortable seat. Dog hair all over the place, but that's normal. Put that blanket back in case they want to come back. All right, so let's do a little twist here. I'm going to go ahead and take my left hand and just place it on my right knee, and then I'm going to take my right hand and just place it behind. On an inhale, let's sit up nice and straight and tall. Exhale, go ahead and twist towards the right. Now I'm not using my left hand to crank myself over into this position. It's just there for support. So inhale, sitting up nice and straight and tall. And then exhale, maybe turning a little deeper. We'll just breathe here for a moment. And then after your next exhale, we'll return to center. Take a breath, compare both sides, see how they feel. All right, we're going to go to the other side. So right hand to my left knee, left fingers are going to come around behind me. Inhale, I'm going to sit up nice and straight and tall. And then exhale, journey into the twist, looking over towards the left. Inhale, maybe sit up a little bit taller. And then exhale again, maybe journey deeper into that twist. And then go ahead and keep breathing. You can always find something to focus on. It's super windy here, so I'm just looking at the trees, moving. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and come back to center. All right, we're gonna keep on warming up the spine a little bit, so I would invite you to come to all fours. Now, if your knees are a little sensitive, you can always take a blanket and put it under them to pad them a little bit, or a towel or whatever you have. And we're gonna go into a tabletop position. So my knees are underneath my hip points, hands are underneath my shoulders, and we're gonna go into cat-cow. This is really great for your spinal health and just spinal flexion. On an inhale, we're gonna drop those lower ribs, lift our chest, lift our tail, look forward. Exhale, rounding through the spine, coming up into cat, really pressing away from the mat, feeling a nice big stretch in your back body. Inhaling, dropping those lower ribs, looking forward. Exhaling, rounding the spine, coming into cat. You can go ahead and do a few more just on your own inhales and exhales. And if you find somewhere where it feels really great in your body, you can just stay there and hold that pose. And after a few rounds of that, we'll bring it back to stillness, and we're going to go into a little balancing. So I'll give you options just depending on where you're at today. So step one, we're going to reach our left foot back. Let me move forward a little bit. We're going to reach our left foot back and then just rock on that foot a little bit, feeling a nice stretch in the calf muscles. After a few rounds of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness, and we're going to lift that left foot right up off the ground. Now we're not going to lift it clear up in the air. It's going to still be in line with our hips, toes dialed down. So maybe you're here today. If you'd like a little more, you can take your right hand, so the opposite of the foot that's out, and we're going to reach it forward thumb up to the ceiling like we're shaking someone's hand. And then you're just going to look forward. It's a little balancing. This will turn on your abs a little bit. One more breath here. And then exhale. Let's lower everything back down to center, and then we'll take it to the other side. So I'll stretch my right leg out. You can rock a little forward and back, feeling a nice calf stretch here. Then when you're ready, we'll lift that right foot up, toes dial down, and then maybe you stay here, or maybe you want to reach your left hand forward and shake somebody's hand. And we'll breathe. One more breath here. And then exhale, we'll place everything back down to center. All right. If your hands are directly underneath your shoulders, walk them a little bit forward and out wide. We'll tuck our toes under, inhale to prepare. And then exhale, we're going to lift our knees up off the mat, straighten through the legs, push back through the hands, let your heels grow heavy as we move into our first downward facing dog. Now if you'd like, you can walk your dog by bending one knee and then the other. Again, feeling a nice big stretch in your calf muscles. And then once you're ready, go ahead and bring that to stillness. Let those heels grow really heavy. Let your head grow heavy. Really press away from the mat. And then just breathe. From here, go ahead and look forward at your hands. Rise up on those toes. And then we're going to shift our body weight forward and then press back through the heels until we're in a plank. Now maybe plank isn't for you today. You can always lower down to the knees and come into a half plank. So you do have some options here. Really press away from the mat. Make sure your hips aren't dipping too far down. Make sure they're not lifting too far up. Just a nice straight line. And keep breathing here. One more breath, just one more. And then after that exhale, lower your knees to the mat. You can untuck the toes. Bring your knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, sink those hips back towards your heels. Walk your fingertips forward, melt your head and your heart to the mat. And we're going to take a little extended child's pose and just get off our wrists for a minute. Nice big deep breaths here. When you feel ready, I invite you to go ahead and walk yourself back up and come back into that tabletop position. We're going to move back into our downward facing dog here. So get yourself nice and set up. Take an inhale to prepare, and then on the exhale, we'll lift those knees and press back into our downward facing dog once again. Once again, look forward at your hands, but this time instead of rolling forward into plank, we're going to walk all the way up to the front of the mat. So you can take little baby steps. I like to take baby steps to start. Getting the dog hair off my mat. But you can take big steps or however many steps you'd like. Now, once you reach the top, you want to keep a slight bend in your knees. You don't want to lock your knees out and hyperextend them. Slight bend. On an inhale, we'll come up halfway, feeling some length in the back, so it kind of looks like a little figure 7 here. Exhale, release. Let everything hang, forward fold. You can sway back and forth. You can grab opposite elbows and just move side to side. And maybe you just want to stay into stillness. If this pose is a little bit challenging, you can always use blocks here to bring the ground up to you. And they can be on different levels. Or if you don't have blocks or anything that can bring the ground up to you, just bend your knees generously, and then your hands can even be on your shins, or maybe your thighs, or maybe you can do spider fingers on the ground. It's going to depend on your individual body, so listen to it before trying to force yourself into a certain position, because what's right for me may not be correct for you. You should feel some nice lengthening in your hamstrings here. And then after our next exhale, go ahead and slowly start to roll it all the way up. And we're going to come into a mountain pose. So for mountain pose, I like to feel super grounded. So sometimes I'll pick my feet up, really spreading my toes before placing them on the mat and really feeling that mat and the surface underneath me. So I invite you to do the same if you feel called to. Otherwise, you can stay in stillness. But once I find my positioning, I'll bring myself to stillness. I like to loop my shoulders up, back, and down, bringing those shoulder blades together. So that way I can be in alignment in a nice straight line for mountain pose. And just take a moment here to breathe, catch your breath, because we're going to start flowing after this. And I have a little bit of a energetic / difficult flow, but it'll be fun. We're going to play today. So don't get nervous yet. All right. When you are ready, we're going to move into chair pose. So your hands can be at your heart. They can be on your hips, whichever, wherever, or they can just be at your sides, wherever you feel like you'd like them at. And start to bend your knees, sit your booty back like you're gonna sit in a chair. So this is chair pose. And you can even lift up your toes to make sure that you're coming back on your heels. Because you don't want to be forward, you're gonna fall forward. So nice and centered, a little bit behind, chest nice and lifted, nice flat back, looking forward. And again, hands can be at the heart, they can be at the hips, or if you'd like a little more, you can reach your hands up in front of you in this chair pose. And we're going to stay here for a moment and just breathe. One more breath here. And then exhale. Let's go ahead and rise up. You might want to shake out your legs a little bit. All right, and then when you're ready, let's step I'm going to step my right foot back first. So we'll step our right foot back, keep a nice bend in that left knee. We're going to come into a high lunge. So this front knee should be in a nice 90-degree angle. And when you look down, you should be able to see your big toe. If you can't see your big toe, bump that knee out towards the corner of your mat a little bit. Your stance may not be as wide as me. It's okay, you might be a little bit shorter. Again, hands can be at the hips, they can be down. Maybe you reach them up. Keep breathing wherever you're at. All right, right, from here I'm gonna float my arms down. I'm gonna get a little light on my right foot, the one that's in the back there. So I'm just gonna hop up a little bit and come up on this toe. Now maybe for some you wanna stay here, or maybe, just maybe, you'd like to play with a little warrior three. And if you do, we're gonna start to lean our torso forward, keep a slight bend in that right or that left leg here, and we're gonna start to lift those right toes up off the mat. Keep your foot, those toes dialed down. You don't wanna splay them out to the side. You saw I just fell over. So we're gonna keep it like we did a little bit earlier when we were reaching everything out in that bird dog position. Now your hands can reach forward. Maybe you reach them back, looking down, balancing. And if you fall out of it, it's okay. Ah! One more breath. And then on the exhale, go ahead and trust your body, trust yourself. Let that right foot come back behind you. Try and come back into that high lunge. How'd you guys do? Doing good? All right. Once you find your positioning, go ahead and lean forward. Bring those hands down to the mat. You can keep your knee lifted, or you can always lower it. Completely up to you. Whatever you choose, plant your right palm down. We're going to lift our left fingertips to the sky, coming into a little twist here, and breathe. One more breath. And then exhale, lower that hand down. We're going to step our left foot back to meet our right, coming into plank. Or again, you can always take half plank. One more breath here. And then on the exhale, press through the hands, lift your hips up and back. We're in downward facing dog. Whew. Take a moment to shake your head out. Breathe. Now we do have a second side, not to scare you, but we have another side here. All right, when you're ready, look forward at your hands again. We're going to take a little walk all the way up to the front of the mat. And then from here, go ahead and bend those knees down, and we're going to lift our torso up. We're back in chair. Again, you can reach your hands forward. They can be at your heart or maybe just at your hips. Completely up to you. One more breath here. And then exhale, go ahead and stand up. Whew. It's getting a little toasty. Maybe shake your legs out a little bit if you need to. All right. When we're ready, let's step our left toes back, coming in to our nice high lunge here. So again, make sure your feet aren't on a tightrope. You want 2 parallel train tracks. It'll help with balance. Set your foundation up. So you might have to adjust your footing a little bit. And then your arms can be whatever placement feels good to you today. And we're going to just stay here and breathe for a moment in this nice high lunge. Pull that right hip crease back, left hip crease forward. One more breath here. And then exhale, we can lower our hands. Now we're going to try warrior 3 on the other side. So you can play with it here, And again, if you fall out, it's perfectly okay. So we'll just hop this left foot up a little bit, really get grounded in this right leg. As you start to tilt forward, maybe you lift that left foot up off the mat. Keep those toes dialed down, and maybe you catch some air here. Again, your hands can be back, they can be reaching forward, whatever feels good to you today. Breathe. Take one more breath here. And then exhale, go ahead and let that left foot come behind you. Trust yourself, trust your body. If you fell out early, it's okay. This is a practice. It's just something we work on. Your balance can change from day to day, and it can also change from side to side. So obviously my right leg is a little bit more imbalanced than my left. You saw me wobbling around on the left, so it's just practice. All right, let's go ahead and bring our hands down to our mat. Again, you can lower your left knee or keep it lifted. We're going to plant our left palm, spiral our heart over to the right as we lift our right fingers up to the sky, coming into a little twist. And breathe. On the exhale, go ahead and plant that right palm down. We're going to step our right toes back, coming back into plank or half plank. And breathe. One more breath here. And then exhale, we'll lift our hips up and back, coming back into downward facing dog. Whew. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower those knees. We're going to come back into that extended child's pose. So knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, sink those hips back towards your heels. Walk your fingertips forward. Melt your head and your heart. Take a rest. All right. After a few breaths, go ahead and come back up to tabletop, and I will meet you back in downward facing dog for a few breaths. We'll look forward and make our way up to the top of the mat. So again, you can take baby steps, or maybe you're a little bit more warm now, so you'd like to jump or float or hop up to the top of the mat. Inhale, we'll come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go, forward fold. Whenever you feel ready, I invite you to slowly roll all the way back up to standing. And we'll come into our version of mountain pose, whatever that looks like for you today. We're going to take a moment just to ground and breathe here. Now I turn to the side of my mat just so you guys could see me a little bit better, but if you'd like to stay on that short end, you can. I'm going to take my feet out nice and wide. So it's again going to depend on your body how far out you bring your feet. So you definitely want them out further than hips distance, but they don't have to go to each end of the mat either. You don't need to do the splits. So find a distance that feels good to you. Stand up nice and straight and tall. And we're going to reach one arm out and then the other, and we're coming into star pose. Keep your chest nice and lifted. Breathe here. This is a great posture if you need a confidence boost or just some more confident, grounded energy. This is great for that. So if you're going to an interview or something you're nervous about, maybe go to the bathroom and or somewhere private, or it doesn't have to be private. You could do this in public too, I guess. I'm doing it in public, so kind of. So it's just something kind of fun to do. Feel a nice big stretch through your body here. Keep breathing. And when you're ready, you can lower your hands down by your sides. And we're going to get ready to go into a wide-legged forward fold. So our feet are going to stay where they're at. If you'd like to use blocks, make sure they're nearby just so you can bring the floor up to you. If you don't have any, then just only go as far down as feels comfortable in your body. All right, so we're going to get ready. So inhale. And then as we exhale, keep a slight bend in those knees. We're going to start to fold forward, keep a nice flat back, just like we did in those warrior threes earlier, and just like we did in our other forward folds. Keep looking down just slightly ahead of you, and maybe you stay here. Maybe you want to go a little bit further. Maybe you want to go a little further. Completely up to you. Again, if your hands don't touch the mat, you can use blocks or something to bring the ground up to you. Otherwise, you can bring your fingertips to the mat. Maybe you can bring a flat palm to the mat. Listen to your body. If your hands are on the mat and you're able to bring a flat palm, maybe you walk those hands back to be in line with your arches of your feet, bringing your head towards the mat. And maybe your head actually touches the mat. Mine does not today, and that's okay. Wherever you're at, just breathe. Feel that nice lengthening in your hamstrings and in your back. A nice little break off of our wrists. And then when you feel ready, let's start to rise up the same way that we went down. So try and keep a nice flat back. Engage your core as we slowly roll all the way up. And then you can feel that flush of energy just move through your body. All right. So once you've taken a few breaths and you're not feeling dizzy or lightheaded or anything like that, go ahead and spin those right toes towards the front of your mat. Bend through that right knee. Try and bring it into a nice 90-degree angle. And then we're going to pivot our left foot out kind of towards the corner of our mat. Again, opposite train tracks here, or parallel train tracks, not opposite, kind of opposite. And then you can reach your arms out to either side, coming into a warrior two. Again, you might need to adjust your feet just to get the stance correct, but that's all right. Squeeze a pencil in between your shoulder blades, chest nice and lifted, looking over that right hand. Breathe. And when you feel ready, we're going to straighten that right leg. Don't straighten it completely. We don't want to hyperextend it. Slight bend here. And then we are going to reach forward with our right hand. Keep your left leg inside the same. And then maybe you can drop that right hand down, coming into triangle. Now, Again, a block is a handy thing. You can always use a block here to bring the ground up to you a little bit. It can be there, it can be there. Or maybe if you don't have a block, you just stay up a little bit higher. So completely dependent on your own individual body, but listen to it. Breathe here. One more breath. And then we'll bend that right knee, engage those abs, come back up. You can lower the hands down if you'd like. And then we're going to spin those right toes back to face the long edge of the mat. Let's take a quick breath here. And then we're going to move to the other side. So my left toe is going to go towards the back edge of my mat. I'll bend that left foot. And again, you might have to adjust your stance a little bit, depending on your body and your setup. So try and keep a nice bend. Again, look down, you should be able to see your big toe. Then we can reach our arms out, pinching that pencil, looking over those left fingers, warrior two. From here, we'll straighten that left leg, bump those hips towards the front of the mat, so towards that right side. Reach forward like someone's grabbing your left hand, and then we'll drop that left hand towards the ground, spiral our heart up towards the sky, coming into a little triangle variation. Again, if you'd like to use a block, you can. If you'd like to not come down as far, you can do that too. And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and bend that left knee, and then we'll return back through that warrior two. You can drop your hands, spiral those toes up towards the front of the mat, and then from here, we're going to walk our feet in, coming back into a nice little mountain pose just to reset. Take some breaths here. If you'd like to kind of reconnect to the ground, you can lift your feet up and place them down. Just feeling really connected to the ground under your feet, to the earth, whatever surface you're practicing on. All right, when you are ready, we're going to have some fun with this next one. It is a little bit of it can be a difficult pose, but don't let that scare you. It is a little bit balancing, but we're going to go in stages. So if you haven't done this before, it's okay. We'll see how good my balance is today with this. But we're going to reach our arms out to the side. Go ahead and just set your feet up. We're going to do our arms first. So our arms can be difficult. So let's reach our arms out to the side. And then from here, we're going to bring our arms in front of us. Take your left hand, bring it underneath your right hand. Now maybe you stay here and give yourself a hug. That's perfectly okay. Maybe you come into some sort of variation like this where you're crossing your elbows. Or maybe you can find the bind and wrap your hands so that your palms are touching and you're in this little eagle arm variation. Okay? So maybe one of those options will work for you. This will definitely work, or maybe you can just stay there. So choose your bind. So we're in eagle arms. We're going to go into eagle legs, which can be the more difficult part of this. So where you're standing, go ahead and transfer that weight into that left foot. Now we're just going to shift it. We're not dumping it down into there. We're not dumping it. We're just shifting it, so it's a little different. Slight bend in that left knee, or actually we can bend both knees a little bit. Go ahead and rise up onto those right toes. And then if it feels okay in your body today, you can lift that right leg up, cross it over your left leg, and then maybe you do like me where you just place those toes over. and have a little kickstand. Maybe you're there. Maybe you can wrap your leg all the way around your other leg coming into eagle. This doesn't feel great to me, so I'm going to completely wrap my foot and just leave my legs crossed here. And then you're just going to stay here and breathe in this eagle pose. It helps with balance to find a place on the ground that's not moving or something in front of you that's not moving to concentrate on. And if you fall out of it, it's okay. It is a practice. We can shake it off. If you're still in it, keep going. And if you're still in it, then slowly start to stand back up. You can unfurl everything. And we're going to come back to that mountain pose and just breathe. I got a little sweat going on. I don't know about you guys. All right, let's try side two. So if you struggled with that, that is okay. You can see I fell out of it. I am not perfect. I am human. It happens. And again, yoga is a practice. It's not about nailing the pose and all of that. It's really just working on yourself and getting a little further along each time. You get a little bit better every time you practice. So we're going to go to the other side. We're going to let that side go. We're going to go to the other side. All right. So let's reach our arms out. We're going to bring them in front of us. This time we'll reach our right arm underneath our left. Yeah. Right arm underneath the left this time. Again, maybe you just give yourself a hug. Maybe you just bring it into kind of this W shape. Or maybe you find the bind and wrap, bringing the palms together. All right, from here, let's shift our weight into our right side. Again, don't dump your weight there. You can have a little bit of a bend in the knee. We'll start to peel that left foot up, and then again, you might just cross that left foot over, keeping those toes on the ground, or maybe you can find the bind. Now this is the complete kind of bind, but I think for today, because my balance is a little bit shaky, I'm just going to stay here. And we're going to breathe. So this is kind of a fun pose. It is difficult. All right, let's take one more breath here. And then exhale. We'll go ahead and stand up. Let everything go. Shake it off. Good job. Give yourself a clap if you made it this far with me. This practice has not been easy today. All right, I'm going to return to the top of my mat. We're going to start making our way down to the floor. We're going to start cooling this down a little bit. So let's come to the top of the mat. Nice mountain pose here. Breathe. We're going to do one more chair pose, just one more. So go ahead and start to bend through your knees. Shift your weight back into your heels, coming down into that chair pose. Again, hands can be at the heart, they can be on your hips, or they can be reaching out. And we're going to come into this chair pose for just a few breaths. One more breath here. And then exhale. Go ahead and bring your hands to the mat. Lift your hips up, forward fold, and breathe. All right, when you're ready, make sure your palms are planted on the mat wherever you're at. Really start to bend your knees, Lift your heels up off the floor, come into a little ball position, and then you can bring one hand behind you and then the other to come into your seat. From here, we're going to bring the soles of our feet together, sitting up nice and tall, coming into a nice cobbler's pose. Now again, this is going to be dependent on how open your hips are. This can feel really difficult, so again, you can use blocks to bring them underneath your knees, again, just to bring the ground up to you. So that might be an option. If you don't have blocks, you can use blankets, pillows, whatever you have around the house that can bring the ground up to you. You don't necessarily need yoga blocks. They're nice to have, but it's not completely necessary. Right, from here, you can just hold on to your feet, sitting up nice and tall, feeling a nice big stretch. You can rub your feet, whatever you'd like to do, but we're gonna sit here and breathe for a minute. And again, your knees don't need to be hitting the mat. You can be up here, and if this is uncomfortable and you don't have anything, just stretch your feet out away from you so they're not in as close to your body. And that can alleviate some of that pressure. It's like a power yoga practice, I guess. It wasn't necessarily my intention, but I'm sweating a little bit, so we got there. All right, we're gonna let that go. Go ahead and let your feet come out. I'm gonna spin around to the side. We've got a couple more strengthening moves. One definitely, the other one is kind of. So again, I'm gonna give you options, so take whichever option sounds the best to you and feels right in your body today. But we're going to start out by placing our feet on the mat. So we're going to engage our core here and come into a little boat practice. So I'll give you different stages. You can choose the one that's most appropriate for you. You can kind of come through them with me as I go through them. But feet are going to be on the mat. And we can start here, sitting up nice and straight and tall, hands behind the shins maybe, and just breathing. So maybe you play here today. Or if you'd like a little more, you can lift one foot up and then the other, just kind of playing with that balance here. If you'd like a little more, you can lift both shins up, still holding on to behind the thighs here, balancing on your tailbone. Again, keep your chest nice and lifted. Maybe you'd like to let go. And then maybe you'd like to go full boat and reach those legs up towards the sky. Again, choose the level that's most appropriate to you. Breathe. And if you're shaking, that's perfect. One more breath. Exhale, go ahead and let it go. So if you went through that, great job. Let's lie down. Keep your feet still on the floor though, knees bent. So keep your legs where they are. We're just gonna roll back. I'm bringing a block with me just so I can show you some options here. And once you get down to the floor, you can walk your feet up towards your glutes. And we're gonna come into a bridge pose. Now you can use the block for a more reclined or restorative bridge, or if that is more appropriate in your body today. But wherever you're at, we're going to snuggle those shoulder blades underneath our heart center. So that pencil is back. We're holding on to it. And then when you're ready, you can press through those feet, lifting that tailbone and the lower spine up off the mat. Really press through those feet. Now, the block, if you would like to use it, you can bring that underneath your sacrum. So that's kind of right about where your lower back and booty meet. So you can use that if this is more appropriate for you. Again, if you don't have a block, a pillow, blankets, whatever you have around, just to bring the ground up to you. Otherwise, you can stay up here with me. And once you're up here, bring your chest to your chin and then your chin to the sky. So that way you keep nice length in the back of your neck. And we'll breathe here. One more big inhale. Exhale, let's slowly start to roll it on back down. All right, I'm ready to start pulling this down. I don't know about you guys, but I am. I'm going to go ahead and stretch my left leg out long and away, and then just bring my right foot in towards the chest. Take a nice big inhale here. And then on the exhale, I'm going to cross that right leg across my midline, coming towards the left. The other thing I'm going to do is take my right hand out to the side. Just like a big Texas T, I like to keep the opposite hand on just the top of the thigh for some more support here. I'm not using it to press it down. And we're going to try and keep both of our shoulder blades on the mat. So you're just really feeling that twist in your lower spine. We're going to take a moment here just to breathe. Wringing everything out. From here, let's go ahead and return back to center. We're going to switch our feet. So my right leg's going to go out long and away. I'll bring my left foot in towards the center. I'm going to extend my left hand out just for support. And then we'll cross that left foot over that midline, coming towards the right, feeling a nice big twist. It's going to be about right in this area. Now, it may be different in your body. I guess I should say that. For me, it's about right there. Just wringing out that sponge, wringing out those organs. Take one more big inhale here. And then exhale, we'll return to center. Okay, we're going to move into our final posture, which is a favorite. It is called the corpse pose or shavasana. So you can stretch one leg out long and away, and then the other leg. You can let your hands fall open. Take up space on your mat or in your room, wherever you're at. If it is in your practice to use props and you like to use props, you can grab those and set yourself up with a bolster or a blanket or eye pillow or any of those lovely things. And if you don't have anything, that's okay. I'm not going to use anything today, so we can just lay here on the floor, letting everything go. If it feels safe, you can close down the eyes, or if it doesn't, you can just soften your gaze. And we're going to take a moment here just to breathe, to feel gratitude to ourselves for taking this time, to feel gratitude for our bodies for hanging with us through this practice that was not always easy. And just feeling grateful that we're alive right now in this time. We're practicing together. I'm going to go quiet for a moment just to allow you some time to just be with yourself, but know that I'm here, I'm holding space for you, and I will guide you out of practice shortly. So the card that I pulled for today's practice is Horse Spirit, and its message is that freedom is yours. Are you feeling stuck? Has your spirit been broken by challenges you have faced? Your current choices may not seem the best, but you are not seeing the clearing ahead where you can break free and run. Whatever your choices right now, they can lead you to exhilarating freedom. So trust the guidance of Spirit. Horse Spirit is here to tell you that adventure calls, and you will soon realize that your power is greater than you think. Perhaps your frustration and feelings of being fenced in are the result of being too much on your high horse, unwilling to come down to earth and join the herd that wants to support you. Being in control and in charge can be overrated. It's time to loosen up, drop the reins, let go, and prance with others just for the fun of it. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, then go ahead and stay as long as time allows. If you need to continue on with your day, then slowly start to deepen your breaths. When you feel ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, just inviting some life back into them. From there, I would invite you to place one foot on the mat, keep your knees bent, and then the other foot. And then from there, you can roll to your side, come into your favorite little, or roll to your favorite side actually. Come into a little fetal position and just hang out there. You can use your bottom arm as a little pillow and just take a few seconds to breathe before you come back into your space around you. Right, and whenever you feel ready, you can go ahead and come back up to a seat. Bring your head and neck up last. If your eyes are still closed, you can slowly start to bat them open, coming back to the world around you. So I want to thank you so much for practicing with me today and with everybody else that was practicing live. I hope you enjoyed it. That was definitely a little bit more of a challenging practice than that I haven't done in a while. Definitely a longer one, which was fun. So I hope you enjoyed that. I will be back next week with a brand new practice. Again, if you're live with me, this replay will be on YouTube and then also my Patreon channels, probably tonight after I do a little bit of editing, just a little bit. I don't do a lot, just to clean it up a little bit. And once I get it posted there, those will be there for you if you'd like to go through and play with any of this again. If you are not watching this live, then welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. You had some people practicing with you live. And also, the link is in my bio. If you are interested, if you like this practice, I have a Patreon account, and that houses all of the practices I've ever done. They're all there. So it's a whole library. It is a subscription, but there is a 1-week free trial. If you're interested, no obligations, you can cancel anytime. Otherwise, it's a month, and you get access to that full library. There's different lengths, different intensities. There's some calm ones. There's even a blanket one. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out. The link is, again, in my bio. Otherwise, I will be back next week with a brand new practice, so I really hope to see you then. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful April if I don't see you next week, or just a wonderful rest of your week and day. So take care. Namaste.